Some crimes are so disturbing, so unspeakably cruel, that they leave a permanent stain on human history. This is one of those crimes. Content warning. If you are sensitive to extreme violence, especially of a sexual nature, please reconsider watching this video. Today, we're diving into the haunting story of Junko Furuta, a name forever tied to one of the most horrific cases ever recorded. Widely considered one of the worst crimes committed in modern history, what you're about to hear is told in complete gruesome detail. Strap in because this story is a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty. Imagine a quiet town in Japan, Misato, in Saitama Prefecture, where hope and promise shone brightly. Junko Furuta was a 17-year-old high school student with a future as vibrant as her smile. She came from a loving family, her caring parents, an older brother, and a younger brother. A hardworking student with excellent grades, she balanced school with a part-time job at a plastic molding factory and was saving up for a graduation trip. With plans to start working at an electronics store after school, Junko was popular, active, attractive, and well-liked by her classmates. But here's the twist. Unlike many of her peers, Junko didn't drink, smoke, or use drugs. This made her stand out, and unfortunately, it caught the attention of a group of delinquent boys at school, particularly one infamous figure, Hiroshi Miyano. A known bully with ties to the Yakuza, Hiroshi couldn't handle rejection. His obsession with Junko would soon lead to a series of events too dark to fathom. Picture this. It's November 25th, 1988. Junko is riding her bike home from work, enjoying an ordinary evening until everything changes in an instant. A member of Hiroshi's gang ambushes her, knocking her off her bike. Across the street, Hiroshi suddenly appears, acting like a hero by chasing the attacker away. Feeling cornered and vulnerable in the dark after such a traumatic encounter, Junko reluctantly agrees to let him walk her home. But instead of leading her to safety, Hiroshi directs her to an abandoned warehouse. Here, he reveals his Yakuza connections and delivers a chilling ultimatum. If she tries to escape, his associates will kill her entire family. With that, the unimaginable begins. Hiroshi rapes her repeatedly, and then he takes her to a hotel where he summons his three closest friends, Joe Ogura, Yasushi Watanabe, and Nobuharu Minato. From that moment, Junko wasn't seen as a person, but rather as a prisoner, an object for their twisted amusement. Shockingly, this gang had recently kidnapped and assaulted another girl. To them, Junko was just another victim in their sick, predetermined game. The following morning, they force her to divulge her home address under the threat of killing her family. With no escape, she is taken to Minato's house, marking the beginning of 44 days of hell. Now brace yourselves. This is not just a crime story. It's a plunge into a nightmare that lasted 44 excruciating days. Initially, the gang coerced Junko into posing as a girlfriend in front of Minato's parents. But as the days wore on, any pretense of normalcy was abandoned. Even Minato's parents, who heard her screams and saw her bruised, battered body, did nothing. Paralyzed by fear of retaliation and desperate to protect their family's reputation. For 44 days, Junko endured unspeakable torture. She was forced to remain naked at all times. She was raped dozens of times daily. At least 100 men were aware of her plight, with no fewer than 30 actively participating. Starved, she was forced to eat cockroaches and drink urine. Her body was pummeled daily with iron rods, bamboo sticks, and dumbbells. Her limbs were burned with cigarettes and lighters, and she was shoved into a freezer for hours. They inserted foreign objects, including broken bottles, fireworks, and scissors, into her body. Hung from the ceiling and used as a punching bag, she was set on fire multiple times. After just 10 days, her body began to betray her. She could barely breathe from internal bleeding. Her digestive system rejected food and water, causing severe dehydration, and even the bitter cold of the night couldn't offer any relief. She begged for death, but her cries went unanswered, met only with further cruelty. There was a fleeting glimmer of hope when a visitor mentioned Junko's situation to his brother, who then contacted the police. 2 officers rushed to Minato's house. However, when Minato's parents insisted there was no girl inside, the police left, leaving Junko stranded in her nightmare. One desperate night, she mustered the strength to crawl down the stairs and use the telephone. She managed to dial the police, but before she could utter a word, Hiroshi ripped the phone away and said to police that he dialed by mistake. For daring to reach out, she was punished in the most horrific manner imaginable. Her captors doused her in lighter fluid and set her on fire once again. And on January 4th, 1989, after 44 days of unimaginable suffering, Junko Furuta finally succumbed to her injuries. After the horror, you'd expect justice to prevail. Yet 2 weeks later, police arrested Hiroshi for a different crime, the gang rape of another woman. In a twisted turn, Hiroshi accidentally let slip details that linked directly to Junko's case. Despite overwhelming evidence, the legal system delivered a travesty of justice. The sentences were shockingly light. Hiroshi Miyano received 20 years in prison, Joe Ogura 8 years, Nobuharu Minato 5 to 7 years, and Yasushi Watanabe 9 years. Today these men are free, a grim reminder of a system that failed to protect the innocent. Junko Furuta's story isn't just a dark chapter from the past, it's a warning for all of us. It calls us to remember, to speak out, and to demand that such horrors never happen again. If this story moved you, if it made you angry and determined to honor her memory, then do something about it. Subscribe to keep her story alive. Like this video, honor her legacy, and share it far and wide. Because real change begins with awareness. And together, we can ensure that history never repeats itself. Thank you for listening. Let's stand together for justice, for truth, and for humanity. In the face of darkness, our collective voice is the beacon of hope. Stay vigilant.